I'm getting tired of seeing Jameis Winston's name in the news for the wrong reasons. Obviously, you know how we feel as it pertains to players being compensated. We know that it's a sham, that they're exploited, and all of that is true. But sticking to the issue, the bottom line is the rule is the rule. To be quite honest with you, I find it very difficult to believe that you signed 340 autographs that ends up with one particular website and you didn't get any.
Now they're up to 900.
950.
You didn't get any kind of compensation for it whatsoever. I find that hard to believe.
Because, time out, because Jameis is saying, or Jimbo is saying, that kids just came up after practice or after games.
And they
so
all,
he just sequentially signed.
I believe,
and the kids took them all to the.
I believe that it's possible that you could have signed that many, but to end up with one specific authenticator, come on now, are we all boo-boo the fool? Let's stop that nonsense. Nobody's buying that. Nobody's believing that. Now, obviously, believing is one thing. Proving is another. And until you can prove it, you really can't engage in any level of condemnation about him from an official perspective. But nevertheless, it gets attached to the resume of Jameis Winston. It makes you think about the allegations of sexual assault. It makes you think about the pellet guns, the BB guns. You read that story in the New York Times over this week in which I read, from beginning to end, and you see car windows being smashed and, people being hit and stuff like that, and thousands of dollars in damages being caused, and folks walking around like it's no big deal, and the star quarterback for your team is involved in that kind of stuff. It really, really makes you look at this guy and say, what the hell is going on with you? It makes no sense for you to find yourself in these specific incidences, not just because of you as an individual, but what about your so-called friends? Who's looking out for you? Because, again, the company that you keep, if they're facilitators / enablers in all of this, whereas it does not in any way absolve Jameis Winston from his culpability, at the same time it also highlights who they are as well, because nobody is pulling you away from these incidents and circumstances and saying, look,
behave.
You don't need to be caught up in this kind of situation. So it's just bad. And then when I look at Jimbo Fisher, who we've met, we've talked to, obviously have profound respect for as a coach. You're looking at him, and I got to tell you, Jimbo Fisher, I hope he's looking. I mean, listen, I got my hat on here because I lost a bet, and I'm honoring a bet. But please make sure that you understand I'm dead serious when I say this. Jimbo Fisher is coming across as a big-time enabler. You look at his quotes and just his body language. This man has been around long enough to be able to gauge what perception is, its impact, and how to ward those things off. He's not doing a very good job of it. He's coming across as an apologist for everything that Jameis Winston does. And when you consider what we have read, go read the report in the New York Times from this past Sunday. You're basically talking, they weren't even talking about Jameis Winston. They're talking about a culture around Florida State and its athletic department when it comes to the Tallahassee Police Department and how things were swept under the rug just because these guys were members of the football program.
What choice does he have at this point? His season is teetering. A possible second championship season is teetering. And the only small bit of sympathy I have for Jimbo Fisher is that now, thanks to Jameis and his behavior, every interview that Jimbo does, the whole interview degenerates quickly into, well, what about Jameis? What about Jameis? What about Jameis? And he just sort of tirelessly defends, he enables, he apologizes to a fault, he is an apologist, but he's dancing as fast as he can, trying to keep his program and season afloat around a kid who's still playing quarterback at a high level. We'll talk about the game
later on.
Later. But in this case, just when I thought Jameis couldn't look much worse, he looks even a little worse. And remember Mel Kiper, for whom we all have great respect.
Yes, we do.
Remember when he shocked us all? He dropped Jameis in his
first big board.
Dropped him to the bottom of the first round, like the mid-20s, as I recall.
25.
And then he pulled him up a little bit after a couple of nice performances, and he sort of stayed on the straight and narrow for a couple of weeks, and he was up to, what was it, around 15 or 16? But still, the plunge, and Mel talked on our show about, I thought about dropping him completely off the board, like out of the first round. Will this encourage Mel to reconsider again?
Of course.
Probably.
I think so.
Of course.
Will it encourage a lot of NFL personnel people to say,
absolutely,
I don't know about this kid. Can we trust him? Can we believe him? Can we make him the face of our franchise? I don't know, because I'm going to say this again about what is now becoming a full-scale revolt among college football stars, and maybe, for all I know, basketball stars. Mm-hmm. But this is blatant disregard of this rule, because, as I've made the difference before for you, in the old days, it was all about cheating, under-the-table payments. How much did you get to go to that school? Did you get a car?
Okay.
Did you get an annuity?
Okay.
And it was impossible, virtually impossible, to track that kind of payment just to sign with the school or maybe to perform for the school. This is blatant the other way, because when you sign items, you're sending the evidence of your quote-unquote crime out into the public, right? Hundreds of pieces of evidence
to the same person.
They're going up for sale.
I don't get it.
So the proof is in the signing. It's like you're putting the proof out there. It's blatant disregard for a rule that I think they've disregarded for quite a long time.